Yeah, I always start these videos with my glasses on. I have to take them off because I don't like to see the glare in my eyes. Hi, everybody. I'm going to deliver my message today by video. I'm practicing this, so it's going to be a little casual and comfortable and totally unscripted, but I do have notes. And I want to cover today what I generally mean when I'm talking to midlife women about what it means that to grow in midlife, you have to do the opposite of what you've been doing. So if you're somewhere between the ages of 37, and I know that's not midlife, but it's kind of prep work for when you get to your 40s, till late 50s. I will take you to late 50s because that's as far as I've walked. And I can't help you beyond that as well as I can right now with what I'm talking about here. So I just want this to be kind of a casual conversation. This is my practicing my midlife journey. And the ask that my soul's asking me to do is to speak more directly, to speak more particularly about what I do, and to not censor myself. So here's what it's going to look like today. We're going to talk about sort of the experience of midlife and what the larger picture is, because I want you to understand it's not what it seems when you're living this time of your life, because you've got all these years of experience, 40 years of experience, what it looks like and feels like to live your life. And you flip into your 40s, and I promise the game changes. And we all know it changes, right? Because I cannot drop into the Substack notes ever and not have some quote or comment or share or uplifting message about midlife. I just hopped into one and I literally opened Substack notes and poof, there's a message about midlife that I sat and I was so inspired to comment because I laughed so hard. Because the message was essentially, you spend 27 years, however long your marriage was, right? You spend as long as your marriage being constantly attentive to everyone else and responding to everyone's needs every 14 seconds. And then suddenly you're supposed to be like, oh, this life, now it's time for you to enjoy the things you like, enjoy it. And you're just sitting there going, I don't even know what my pleasures are any longer. It was so resonant for me that I commented on it. And I was like, yes, that's exactly what it's like. So let me just see if I've got us sorted here in terms of who we are. I'm thinking of the women that I met with last night because I'm part of a networking group. And I'd like to have faces around the room. And so I know who I have around the room in terms of my paying subscribers who I've met. I think of Amanda, I think of Sinka and Maida and Heather and Monica and Yvette, just different people who've dropped in over the years. And then I think about the women I've met in my life in Phoenix, and I think, God, what would I want you guys to hear when you're sitting here with me? And everybody on my subscriber list is like that for me, whether I've met you or not. I think of all of us in a close community. That's how I work. So one of the things that's common about the women who I am attracted to or who are attracted to me is that we've likely done something extremely conventional or normal. So I met a beautiful person on Substack who calls it categories. They have a category. They have a title and they can be easily identified. So marketing strategist, dance studio owner, medical doctor, Jewish educator, like just rabbi, right? So there's these ways that we can easily identify that person, what they do, who they are, what the experience is. And then you have those components, very likely. For me, it was marketing, web business development, public affairs. Then through the course of your life, you've added in all these other things that are not even adjacent to your field, whether it's yoga, somatics, tarot, something else metaphysical, energy clearing, Akashic records, anything else that takes you in the mystical or metaphysical sphere. I've done energy clearing. I've taken trainings there, a couple of different kinds. They have their own names. It could be astrology. It could be human design. There's something else out there that you've expanded your awareness. Spiritual psychology. There's so many things that are available now that people have had access to. And those are very much a part of you. The stuff that has a category and the stuff that really doesn't have a category, because I can call it mystical and metaphysical, but it is a developing industry and a developing field. And we don't have names for ourselves when we want to do those things. So I've done astrology and human design for a long, long time, but I'm not a practitioner per se of those. So I also know how to do resonance repatterning, fully certified up to here. I'm not a practitioner of that. So what do you call me when I put all these things together? How do I give myself a title? You're one of these women. And there's a reason for it. I just want to say there's a reason we're here. We're here to create something completely new. And that makes midlife even more interesting, because it's not like you're making yourself into the next edition of something that's known. You're making yourself into an edition that doesn't exist. So I have a good friend who's a medical doctor, and she has gotten into everything else in the field of health and wellness and happiness and physical somatic work. And that's a big piece of it, right? Now, let me add the next piece on that's going to be true for almost everybody here. You're intuitive. You feel things, you know things, you receive, you follow your soul, you listen, you're connected to spirit, and then you bring that into your work. That's what I do too, right? So the work isn't as mental or practical in the traditional sense. It is expansive, and it's about consciousness and expanding consciousness. And when you bring all these things together, it feels really uncomfortable when you put yourself out there in the world and you're like, well, what am I creating next? Because there's no template, there's no rule book, there's no existing something that you're growing. You're growing a whole new thing. So you've got midlife going on, and you have this perspective going on, and you've done enough work in the whole entire spectrum of things to know it feels like you're confused. You can say you're kind of feeling wrong, or you did something wrong, but you know mentally that's not really true. But you're trying to figure your way through what is traditional midlife, right? Kids leaving the nest. You're suddenly alone. You're going through relationship issues. You've just finished a divorce. You've had a business that you loved, and now you're like, why did I even build this? I don't want to do this anymore. You have parents that are aging just as your kids left the house, and you're like, when is there ever going to be time for me? Your hormones are a mess, and you can't think the way you used to, and your thoughts don't connect. Happens for me. Like, I can't write the way I used to anymore. And you're like, really? I'm finally feeling like I want to do something interesting, and my brain won't connect and my body's not playing. And am I going to be doing, for how long is this going to go? Like, is this the new normal forever? And you're looking at this whole entire reality you've created for yourself, and you think, oh, surely this is not what I've been growing up to, right? And there is hope on the other side, right? I do want to speak to that. I really, really want to get to that place, but I wanted to give you sort of a foundation of what it kind of feels like and what I see. And just to be really precise, the women I've spoken to will say this time of life can feel confused, but not entirely. And they gave me metaphors, because I did research on this for the work that I'm doing. And one woman described it, it's like, I have this knotted necklace of all these things, and like I'm trying to pull them apart, and I can't, how? And I had another person that says, I feel like I've been dropped in the forest. Like somebody just picked me up, dropped me in the forest, and now I'm supposed to find my way out. And I have no like how, what? And then I had a beautiful friend say to me, it has really felt hard for a while. And I feel finally like I've crested a hill, and I'm looking to the other side. And I think, I don't even know what to do with this. Those are the feelings of midlife, and they start in your 40s. For some people, they start a little bit earlier, but that's not quite the same. As you slip into your 40s, it is about remaking who you are. And then you move through your 40s, and there's a reason we move through our 40s the way that we do, because we're heading to our 50s, and that has a purpose. And then we head through our 50s to get to our second Saturn return, which is where I'm heading to. So there is a reason, and I have mapped all of this, and I call it the soul arc, which we're not going to get into in detail here, but it's based on astrology, and it does give meaning to each of the phases and seasons, and it gives us such clarity about what we're going to be doing. But before we get there, and I'm not even really going to go into that, I just wanted to make sure that you understood that The whole point of this entire time is really, really simple. I like to bring things down to really, really simple things, which is why I use human design in the way that I do, because I want to understand how your soul is designed to create and make decisions. And now I want to give you this simple point that comes from astrology, which is while you live through your 40s and 50s, you're being given the opportunity to develop your North Node. Let me translate that into non-astrology language. You're given the opportunity to develop what your soul came here to develop, not in terms of purpose, but in terms of skills. So your soul's had a lot of experiences, but in this lifetime, it wants to do this thing in this lifetime. And the way it works in the magic of our life is that when you land on this planet, you're given all the skills to be successful and competent and confidence and accomplished and all the things that brought you here. But everything that's going to take you forward is the opposite of that. And I say this often, and I wanted to clarify this. It's the opposite of that. So I'm going to give you an example, and I know it's not fully going to make entire sense, but I want you to understand it this way. And then I'm going to give you an out for this, okay? So the way you think about it is, imagine, because I know this is what I'm doing, imagine I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike, okay? And this is how I'm thinking about it when I talk to you guys. I'm going to teach you how to ride a bike, but you've never seen a bike. So I have to describe the bike to you. It's like there's these two wheels, there's these wheelie things, and it has a chair on it. And then one of the front wheels has like this handlebar thing, and you've never seen a bike, right? And so you're going to be able to, it's two wheels lined up so it can fall, right? So what we want to do is you're going to learn how to sit on this and hold on to the bars. And then, oh, there's pedals. We're going to turn the pedals, and you're going to figure out how to create balance while you're doing this. And you can move yourself forward with ease. And I can describe all of that for you, right? And you've seen a bike, but imagine if you hadn't seen a bike and somebody's describing this to you and you're like, I don't know about that. That's kind of what midlife is. Like, I can explain what it's going to feel like to be riding, but until you actually see what it looks like and actually do it a little bit, it doesn't fully land. So I have a friend who's having this exact experience. She turned 46, and I'm taking her through her soul arc. And we're right at the front end, and we were having such a good conversation. I was like, hey, Sarah, do you want to come on live with me and like just talk to people so they can get a person's lived experience of what this is like in real time? And she said yes. So I've scheduled a live. It's coming tomorrow. I hope you can make it. If not, it'll be recorded. But that's what I want you to understand about midlife. It's going to be a practice doing something that is going to take a little while to figure out. But I can explain for you what the bike is, and I can explain for you where you are, like in your sequence of learning, like you already know the pedals and you've got some balance, you tipped over a couple of times. I can help you with that when we work together and stuff. But if you're already into this and you already know astrology, you can figure it out too. You really are going to need to do the thing that's the opposite. The qualities that you developed already that you're good at, you have to do the opposite. I'll give you me as an example. I have my South Node. So my skills are in relationships and daily activities. You put me into a project anywhere that has a group of people or another individual, I can handle the relationships. I can do all the work. I can organize. I'm on it. I can calibrate to everything everyone needs. I can keep everybody happy. I'm a great project manager. I'm a great second in command. I'm so good at all of that stuff. Excellent. I'm comfortable with it. Drop me into anything that requires logistics, planning, order, management, keeping people happy. I'm on it. Have naturally from the beginning. The opposite is focusing on me and using my voice and saying what I need to say or want to say without worrying that I'm going to mess with the group. That is so incredibly hard for me. And I didn't realize that this is what I was supposed to be developing, so I haven't done a very good job practicing it. But now that I know, there's no excuses. I know it feels hard because it's the opposite of what I'm good at. But I got to do it in order to continue to develop, or I'm just going to stay stuck and I'll be dissatisfied and I'll wonder why I didn't try harder. I have to push through that fear. That's going to be true for everyone in midlife. Some of us have really lovely experiences of extreme challenges. I spoke to a woman who's already passed, she's into her mid 50s or early to mid 50s, and she was like, her 40s were great until she hit a period of time where health hit, career hit, and the only way out was through the scariest thing she could face. And on the other side of that, she felt a kind of peace. And that does happen. That's what happens around 50 if you haven't done some of the earlier work. So I just want you to know there is a sequence that you live through from 40, early 40s, mid 40s, late 40s, right around 50-ish, post Chiron return, which is a hard time if you aren't prepared, all the way to your second Saturn return. So if you're interested, I hope you'll continue to follow along. But I really want to leave you with this message. It doesn't have to feel as hard as it feels, because once you know what's going on in this time, it gives you a kind of relief and it gives you an orientation. You understand why things are showing up the way they are, which means that, let's translate that into real life. If you're wondering what you want to do with your career and you can't figure out why what you did before doesn't feel good anymore, and you're not sure what you're going to do forward because you can't seem to feel it and you can't seem to put all the pieces together, when you know the map of what you're here to develop from your soul, you suddenly realize, okay, this time is going to become this next time. And in this time, it's giving me an opportunity to do this. When I get to this next time, I will have the skills built to then, when this time comes, I'm going to get to grow in this way. So instead of feeling confused and lost and uncertain, and for some of us, I did it a lot, self-judging, like, why don't I know better? I have all the skills. I should be able to do this. It's not working like I wanted to. It does work in the end. So when you know what you are here to do, and I wish I had known, because I didn't know this back when I was walking this time. It was really, really hard. So I guess I'm going to close with this idea that I want you to know that this is going to be what I talk about in different ways, and also let you know that if you're interested, message me, because I am happy to work with you in an intensive on this, which is kind of what I'm doing with Sarah. I just call it the Soul Arc Intensive. I don't have anything up anywhere about it just yet. So if this idea of you want to learn to ride your bike and have somebody keep you company for 6 weeks and get you bearings so you have balance, I would love to do that with you. So let me know. Hope this was helpful. Hope this gives you a sense of peace at the time that you're moving through right now, because I know it's not easy. It doesn't feel good, but it does start to feel better. Promise. Okay. Take care, y'all.